So welcome everyone to this session of Tech at Lunch. Today I will talk about how, as an industrial manufacturing company, you can benefit from the power system transition by actively participating to the electricity market. So during the session, the cameras and microphones of all participants are muted, and the questions during the presentation will be posted in the Q&A chat box, and they will be answered after the presentation. I will record this event and share it at a later moment. Therefore, it is not allowed to record this session yourself or share your recordings. To start with, let's first have a look at the context where the power system and the electricity market is undergoing a transition. So on the left-hand side, you see the power system that we had in the past, which is a vertically integrated system. The power flow is unidirectional from production to transmission and then to distribution grid, finally to the end user. While in the past decade, we see the advancement of both large-scale and small-scale renewable power generation sources. Therefore, that leads us to the power electric system structure that we see here on the in the middle. So on top, we have a mixture of production from thermal power plants and renewable power plants. In the middle, we have still transmission distribution grid, while at the bottom, we have now a consumer who also inject some of their productions to the distribution grid, which lead to what we call prosumer. And in the future, our ambition is to remove as much as possible the thermal power plants, and we will add a significant amount of renewable power sources. With this, we'll also have to add more storage units to provide flexibility to the grid. And finally, the adoption of electric vehicle will also come, which finally lead us to the envisioned structure of the power electric system that we see on the right-hand side. So on top, we have production from renewables, mostly from renewables, although we might keep a very small amount of thermal power plants. And what is more important is that we will adopt a large amount of storage units to provide flexibility via first charge from a surplus of the production or charge from a transmission grid, and then discharge its stored energy to the transmission grid to make sure that the system is balanced. And at the bottom, the consumers will, in addition to the solar panels, they will have electric vehicles adopted and household level storage units adopted. What is more important is that they will be able to share the energy between each other. And in response to the power system transition, the electricity market will also undergo a transition. So on the left-hand side, we see a mixture of productions from renewable power plants and from thermal power plants. And then in the middle, we have electricity trading and the balance trading. At this moment, the balance trading is mainly played by the thermal power plants, which can provide flexibility by ramping up and down their production, or by big consumers whose consumption can also can also be varied during the day or the night whenever a balance is needed, such that we keep the grid balance. And at this stage, the small and medium scale consumers are kept out of the balancing market. They are they're connected to the market only via retailer. So as we have discussed on the previous slide, there will be much less thermal power plants, which means we'll face significantly less amount of dispatchability, and we'll of course use renewables to replace this energy. That means we'll have more uncertainty in the grid, in the production side, and that means we have to have a much more amount of storage units to provide flexibility. And the adoption of EV also induce a much higher power demand, which lead us to what we envisioned on the right-hand side, the electricity market that we foresee to the future. So on top, we have production. Production from renewables and storage units to provide flexibility. What is the most important change is that the prosumers are connected to the balancing trading via local flexibility market. And in this process, the balance trading will grow much bigger. So that means the size of balance trading in comparison today will grow significantly. And as a small and medium enterprise manufacturing company, how can you participate to the market? So let's first have a look at the process. Although the balancing trading and the local flexibility market are different in terms of scale and size, while the organization is more or less similar, they are both organized via balancing and responsible parties who connect the flexibility service providers, both large scale or short or small scale, to the market. So in total, you can decompose the process into 4 different phases. So in the access phase, the flexibility service providers will have to share the data with the balance responsible party and go through a technical testing, and in order to make sure that the flexibility that you're willing to provide meet the requirement of the market. And in the planning phase, we call it a reservation from the balancing responsible party. So based on your bid in the market, you get a certain amount of reservation from the balancing responsible party. But you have to know that in the planning phase, your flexibility is actually not being used yet. This will happen in the activation phase where the imbalance actually happen. So in this phase, you will again have to bid the actual amount of energy that you're willing to contribute to offset the imbalance. And at the final stage, your contribution will be verified and you receive the amount of money that corresponds to your contribution to the imbalance. So the benefit for a consumer is very obvious. First, you get additional revenue such that you lower your energy cost, which means you increase the competitiveness of your product. And second, you create more job opportunities both for yourself and for the market. What is the most important is that you contribute to a greener future by simply first unlocking more renewable potential by providing flexibility to the market. And you reduce the need of energy storage, which will also mean to provide flexibility. The energy storage units that we see today are still quite expensive and environmentally unfriendly to produce. And of course, there's no free lunch. As you can see on the schematic on the left-hand side, I've categorized the process into what we already have and what we still need to understand. That means we have to study or upgrade the existing infrastructure. And we also need some new equipment such that what we envision can happen. So on top, the market activation, the mechanism is already there. So that is almost ready. What is not ready is the communication. So in terms of this communication, we need both hardware and software. So in terms of a software, for instance, you need a communication protocol that everyone agrees upon, and you need a data transferring mechanism that underpinning the communication between the manufacturing plant and the market. While on the manufacturing plant itself, we need a master controller who coordinatively control your facilities, such as heat pump, your potential existence of solar panel storage units and your EV fleet, and also your manufacturing plant itself, starting from raw material inventory to the actual manufacturing process and to the product inventory. So with all of these gaps, where do we start? So as a starting point, as a company, as an industrial company, you have to first know yourself, assuming that you have a daily load profile that looks like this on the left-hand side figure, while you first have to know where does your electricity consumption come from and how flexible are they in terms of time and quantity, and do this flexible load actually meet the market access technical requirement? Therefore, we have to sit together to decompose your manufacturing processes, and as a result, lead to a more transparent daily load profile where we distinguish between inflexible load, low flexible load, and highly flexible load. And starting from this load profile and in combination with your EV charging fleet, your solar panel units, and your storage units, we translate all of them into mathematical models, and in combination with predictions of the activation prices. Of course, we also need your own attitude with respect to profit and risk. And finally, we come up with a solution to you, which means there should be an optimal operational plan for your manufacturing facility. And in the end, we sit together to see whether the optimal plan will be feasible for you. And in this stage, we'll try to answer the two questions as I wrote here. So first, what are the adaptations with respect to the unlocked flexible level? And what are the costs and benefits of the adaptations? To make the concept more concrete, we created a small illustrative case. So on the left-hand side, we need input of a load profile, which is the transparent load profile, and the predicted imbalance prices in terms of a decremental need and incremental need. And in this small case, we assume a profit maximization objective function, which lead us to the cost optimized industrial load profile, which you see on the right-hand side here. You see periodically appeared spikes because of two reasons. First, the optimization algorithm is trying to reserve your flexibility to according to the prices. So you want to trade in your flexibility at the maximum amount of profit hours. So that's one of the reasons that you see these spikes, and why they're periodically appearing. That's because the load are assumed to be shiftable only within a certain interval. So that means although they are flexible load, that doesn't mean that the load that's supposed to happen in the day will be able to happen at night. And in this small illustrative case, we see that although the actual energy consumption bill does not decrease that much, while you get a significant amount of revenue from the market by trading your flexibility. So this column, you see the reservation revenue, and this column, you see the activation revenue. And in total, that potential is 11% of your electricity cost reduction. So what we know from the case is that the capacity remuneration, which is the reservation phase, can lead to around 7% of cost reduction. Of course, this number can vary according to your bidding strategy in the market. And the energy activation remuneration can lead to 4% of cost reduction, while in exchange you will foresee more load peaks based on the flexibility price in the market. And of course, this can be regulated in the optimization algorithm towards the maximum offtake power from your main power supply. And there are also certain assumptions behind this small case. For instance, we assume that you have a day and night meter of 0.4 and 0.27 euro per kilowatt hour, and the highly flexible load has a shiftable interval of 4 hours, and low flexible load has a shiftable interval of 1 hour. And we also assume that the load can ramp up and down immediately, which essentially also lead to the very high peaks. This ramping up and down rate can also be imposed in the optimization algorithm, of course. And we also assume that the remuneration of both reservation and activation exist. So together, let's make it happen. Well, let's first have a look what has been keeping us, especially keeping the industrial load from trading their flexibility. According to a recent empirical study based on interview with industrial companies, there are 4 main obstacles. First, there's a lack of revenues in participating in the market, while this is no longer the case given the high energy prices caused by the energy crisis. And secondly, there has been a complex and restrictive regulatory framework, which is now also being improved. As a matter of fact, the EPEX, short for European Power Exchange, has launched their first local flexibility market as of last year. While there are still 2 obstacles that remains. So first is a risk of disrupting and production processes, and also the missing infrastructure in terms of a proper IT standardization in interoperability between the market and the manufacturing plant. So that's why we are launching a new SBO or ICON project, and we are calling for project partners for this project. So if you own a manufacturing plant, you're our primary user group target, because we bridge you to the market by first analyzing your flexibility, and in the end, we propose a solution to you in terms of investment and adaptation need if you want to trade in your flexibility. And we connect you to potential balanced and responsible parties from the project. And if you're producing manufacturing infrastructure, you're also one of a very important user group, because we provide you insight on the technical requirement to provide flexibility service. And we also provide you insight on the potential market size of flexible manufacturing solutions. We tell you which processes can be flexibilized, which cannot. And third, if you're a balanced and responsible party, you're also welcome to the project, because we simply introduce more customer for you. We expand your flexible service provider portfolio. Why Thundersmake is the best partner for this project? First, we know the operation of both machines and power system. We do simulations on both. We also perform validation tests on both, and we have data. We also analyze data, and we speak the language of both industry and the market. We have engineers, we have data analysts, and we have market experts. And finally, we link the mind of both. I know that you both are looking for opportunities, and especially for the market side, you're looking to increase your resilience. So to summarize what this project is all about, we first start from the input of the company. We need your attitude towards profit and risk, and we sit together with you to decompose your manufacturing processes and your potential existence of storage units, heat pump, EV charging, or solar panel, and we translate this into models, combination with the predictions into the market. We come up with the optimal operational plan for your manufacturing plant. And with this optimal plan, we have a maximum estimated potential benefit for you, and of course the cost of your new investment or adaptation need in order to finally go to the market. So if you're convinced, please contact myself or one of our business developers at Flanders Make. If you're not convinced, you can also give your opinions to the European Commission via the link that I show here. So until next Monday, you can still give your opinion on how you're suffering from the high energy price and how you think the electricity market should be designed. With this, I'm open to questions.
Okay, thank you, Simon, for the clear presentation. It was very, very pleasant to watch. We have no real questions so far. There is one comment saying if you add EV as a significant new electric load, you may also add heat pumps for building heating without CO2 emissions from buildings. So yeah, I don't know if you want to re-comment on that.
Yeah, let me first have a look. If you add EV as significant new electric load, you may also add heat pumps for building heating without. Yeah, that is partially true because if you add EV as significantly new electric load, you may also add heat pumps for building and heating without CO2. Yeah, I think here depends on how you look at the EV first. So the EV can be both consumer and a producer in terms of, let's say, when we have in the future the V2G technology, you can also consider the EV as a sort of flexibility provider. While the heat pump is for sure, I would say a consumption source. Yeah, that's my comment. I'm not sure if I addressed the comment well, but let me know.
Yeah. Okay. So there's one more question. What are the involved costs for developing process decomposition model predictions, etc.?
Yeah, that one I'm not an expert in the involved cost, so please contact me or one of our business developer bilaterally, and we can discuss this in detail, because there are different cost components that I do not recall in my mind, which you can also find in Flanders Make website, I think.
Okay, another question. Are there opportunities for data partners in the consortium for the prediction optimization part?
Yeah, for sure. There is opportunity for data partners, especially in communication. And first, in the communication part, we need, of course, data communication protocol. And secondly, as Matthias, you mentioned here, in the prediction optimization part, we will have to have a good model to predict the activation prices. That is also one of the opportunity that we see in this project. So yes, there is opportunity for data partners.
Okay. So there are no more questions for now. We already had 4 questions, so I suggest we just that I give the word back to you, Simon, and you can close the session.
Yes, so thank you all for joining this session. I hope the concept of the project is clear to you. If not, feel free to contact me directly via my email address. And if you're interested in the project, also do not hesitate to contact me. We're still looking for user group members. So thanks again for your attention. and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. So